Hello everybody, welcome back to another Godtear Battle Report, our first full-size game on the channel of 3 champions slash heroes versus another 3 champions slash heroes. Also a different scenario this time. We are playing the death scenario from the campaign. It's basically the literal opposite of the life scenario. Life scenario, whoever loses a round gets to put 2 new objective tiles wherever they like, as long as it's touching an existing god tier. This is different. There's a lot more on the table already. There's the 3-4-3. Whoever loses each round gets to take away 2, so you can kind of play strategically about the area of the board you want to control. So that about covers everything, I think, other than to go over the 2 teams. So Half Tusk is joining the Nia and Morrigan team. So Half Tusk is a guardian, so he wants to put down his banner and have it survive to the end of the round. Nia just wants to put down her banner for extra points on the ladder, and Morrigan, of course, wants to kill champions even though she is very bad at it. Then the other team we have Shale and Landslide, also shapers, so just want to put down their banner. Grimgut, who wants to eat, literally, followers of heroes. And then, just finished, we have Lorsan, who is also a slayer. So she also wants to kill champions, much like Morgan. And she's got her elven archer Retiny. Retuni? No, Retiny. That is the word, right? Either way, and her banner's at the back there. So hopefully that'll be relatively even teams. Oh, the other thing to mention about the death scenario is you only have the first hex on the table for deployment. You don't have 2. So we'll see who's going where and then be back at deployment. So we have everything set up. The edge closest to camera is going to be where Team Lorsan, Grimgut and Shale and Landslide have set up, where you can see them. Again, only 1 hex allowed for the deployment for death scenario. Then over here, Half Tusk is over on his lonesome. Then Nia and Morrigan are together, kind of split halfway between here and here. It will be the team with Lorsan, Grimgut and Landslide going first, so they have priority on the ladder. Last thing to say is, going to do a bit more of a quick recap style during the plot phase so we can focus on the clash phase, because the clash phase is where most of the important stuff happens, the combat and such. So probably just go down each hero and follower rather than doing them separately, just to speed things up a little bit to get to the good stuff. So Shale was first up, and remember his passive means that as long as the Landslide is within 3 of him, when he does an action he gets to move 2 for free. So first of all he just moved his 2, which in turn made Landslide move 2. Then he did Stone Strength to give him a defense boon, which in turn is another action, so he got 2 free moves. Landslide in his own turn for this plot phase in battle round 1 did nothing, no one in range to do anything, so he's just sitting there waiting to smack somebody. Grimgut was up next. He moved forwards 1, then he did New Spew to do a line of Wretchlings up around the side of the middle hexes. The Wretchlings themselves did Slip and Slide, which had been done incorrectly or partially incorrectly. As long as there's 2 different ones in different hexes, they can do it on 2 people. In other words, if there's one within one of Grimgut, he can get the movement boon as well. So he has the movement boon for the next phase, and the Wretchlings used it on themselves, and then their second action was to actually use up the movement boon, because they usually have default 0, it becomes 1, so they all just shuffled 1 more in the direction you see them as well, over there. Lorsan activated, and for her first activation she did Field Instruction to give a damage boon to her Mistwood Archers, I think they're called. Mistwood Rangers, sorry. And then she moved 2, which is her allotment for this phase. Then the Mistwood Archers activated, they buffed themselves, that is the wrong icon. They give themselves dodge, not movement. I'll move that in a second. And then move forwards 2, and that is the end of the plot phase for what we'll call Team 1, I guess, just to distinguish, because they had priority. Now it's over to the clash plot phase rather for the other side. Half Tusk was first up for this side. He moved and then did footwork to give himself a dodge buff. Half Tusk, as long as he's at full health, all his attacks get +2 accuracy, which is pretty nasty. Then his Froglodites, they moved 1 and then hopped 2, and because they were all in the same hex, they're all allowed to move. It's only 1 hex usually, so if they were spread apart, I believe only one of them could have hopped, or 2 I guess if it was a 2-in-1 situation. Now over to Nia or Morrigan. So Nia had 3 actions because all 3 of her Quartzlings are alive. She moved for 1, she marched for 1, then she buffed her accuracy. The Quartzlings themselves, they moved forwards for 2, and then they did Shimmer, is it called? Yes, Shimmer to hit the Wretchlings, and did a movement blight on them. So Morrigan in the Cold Bones activated, she moved and also did follow me minions, whatever the skill is called, to force the Cold Bones to move as well. Them on their turn, did So Cool Mistress to give her the accuracy buff, and then also just did a natural move as well, putting them where you can see them, and that's the end of the plot phase. So we are into the clash phase with Team 1 picking their activation first. So Shield got the clash phase started by just doing a move for 2, to where you can see him just in front of the Godtear, which in turn, because Landslide was within 3, triggered his optional movement for being close to the thing controlling him. So Landslide is charging after Morrigan again, and he didn't do anything with his other action. There's nothing for him to do. He is out of range to do whatever it's called, the debuff you can do, the Tremor, or no, Stone Spikes, to apply movement debuff. They're 1 hex away. He could have got the Cold Bones, but not quite. So now it's over to Team 2 for their first activation. The Cold Bones activated and moved up for 1, which sadly only meant 2 of them were in range for Landslide. If the other 3 had been there, it would have buffed up their next action, which was to do Snowball Fight. Did manage to land the hit despite only 2 of them being there, which made it a 3-4 accuracy damage. So got through the accuracy, did not get through with damage, did make Landslide move up, use up his defense boon though, so that is now gone. Grimgut the Vile was next up, and from where he was, he rolled first, so he gets 3 in a line, which put him there in front of the Godtear, I think. Then he did a move, and he still had a movement boon, so it was 2 instead of 1, which has put him right there. He's eyeing up those skeletons to eat, but nothing else for him to do. Nia was next up, still with 3 activations because of her Quartzlings all being alive. She did a march to move 2. Sorry, a movement to move 2 to where she is. Then she did Erosion on Grimgut, it hit, which gave him minus armor blight. But then that got used up because she did Blinding Light as her third action. It hit, which did a accuracy blight and also 2 damage. Grimgut is very tanky though, he starts at 9 HP, so he's not feeling the damage too much, but she is also partially blocking, I spun him again, partially blocking the Cold Bones there. The Wretchlings activated next, and first of all they did a move action, but they had a movement blight, which lowered their movement to 0, so that activation is just gone. Then, the one that is closest to the Quartzlings did a slimed attack, it hit, but did not get through their armor, so no damage, no deaths. So the Quartzlings decided to do something, and they didn't do much. They stayed where they were to keep roughly away from Grimgut, but also in range to throw stones at him. They did 5-5 attack on him. It did 1 damage only, but a little bit more, chipping away at the mound of flesh. So over this end of the table, the Mistwood Rangers activated from where they were. They have a movement of 3 in the clash phase, so they moved 1, 2, 3. Then they have a range of 3 on their attack that's simply just called Fire. They're just letting out a barrage of arrows. And they did that on the Froglodites, got through their armor, and have killed one of them for 1 step on the ladder for killing a small follower. So the Froglodites activated next, and I think this is legal. So first of all, a recruit action got done for the first action, which put one of them back that died around Half Tusk there. Then did a move action for 3, so the one that was here went 1, 2, 3. The other ones were here. One went 1, 2, 3, and one went 1, 2, 3 to stand on all the objective X's. Now Froglodites are special followers. They have a passive called Tear Twisted, which means they can enter objective X's. So presumably, unless they die, they can just block the ability to place a banner. Presumably that's what they're for, because they don't actually have any attacks, I think, in the, yeah, they have no attacks. They can move objective hexes as well, as in like banners, I mean. So that seems to be what they're for. If something was done wrong there, by all means point it out. So Lorsan, the Elven Ranger, activated. From where she was standing, she sniped, and I think it's ridiculous, it's like 8, but then 4 dice for damage attack. Easily hit the Froglodite, got lucky, got through their 3 armor, killed one for another step on the ladder, then did a move action. She can move 3, but she opted just to move 2, I think it was, to stand in between these 2 god tiers to give options for next time. So now it's either over to Half Tusk or Morrigan. So Half Tusk was the one to go next, and all he could do, because he needs to get right in someone's face to punch them, literally, he has like a 1 punch and a 1-2 punch. He just did a move action to place him where you can see him. There's nothing else he can do. He's still sitting on a dodge buff as well if anyone takes a shot at him. And now it's over to Landslide to end the clash phase in turn 1 for Team 1. So Landslide had a bit of a whiff there. First action was to do Earthquake. That hit, which means anyone on the target hex within 2, and he picked Morrigan, gets forced to move 2. So she got put right smack dab in front of him. Then he did his huge boulder bash, 6 accuracy, 6 damage, went through easily on the hit. The damage roll, 3. Morrigan's armor, 3. Did no damage. And now it's over to the lady herself to end the first turn. So thanks to being dragged right into Landslide's face, Morrigan got to just stand still and do 2 attacks. She did an Ice Bolt first of all, which did 1 damage to Landslide, and also did an Accuracy Blight on him, which is going to stick. Then she did an Ice Blade, which only did 1 damage, but because he has that Blight, it also does an automatic 1 damage if it hits. So that was actually 3 in total, so Landslide is on 1 health remaining. That does take us to the end of battle round 1, however, and the only scoring was done by Team 1, so that has flipped over, and that 1 victory point is going to Larsan, Grimgut and Shale. It also means that Team 2 will get to pick 2 objective tiles to get destroyed, and whether or not they take priority in battle round 2. So we'll be back with the setup to that in a second. So here we are, we're set up for battle round 2. Team 2, which is Half Tusk, Morrigan and Nia, are going first, so they have priority. And the 2 tiles that were destroyed as part of the death scenario are the 2 here. So now there's only the 1 objective hex over here, although if Landslide dies he becomes 1. But there is only 1 objective hex over there, so there's only room for 1 banner. Now it's into the plot phase for Team 2. So the Froglodites did a recruit action to get their number back, and it spawned next to Half Tusk up here. They then did a move action to move where you can see them. 2 on this objective hex, 1 on this. Then Half Tusk claimed, so he threw his banner down, which is a giant tusk on there. He's a guardian, not a shaper, so that's just 1 step on the ladder. Then he did a move for 2 right in front of the Mistwood Rangers, where you can see him there. So Nia and her Quartzlings were up next. 3 actions because all 3 Quartzlings are alive. Move, march, claim. And that is a shaper. Nia is a shaper, so that claiming of a banner is 2 steps on the ladder instead of 1. And she's out of actions. Her Quartzlings applied a Glimmer, which did a movement blight on Grimgut, and then moved to get away from him because he wants to eat them. So Morrigan was next. She did a move action for 2 to get on this side of the Godtear, then did a claim to put down her banner for another step on the ladder, hoping to protect it from Shale and Landslide. Her Cold Ones did a move, and they kind of spread out a little bit around a half circle there. Then they did Chill Out to do a damage debuff on Landslide, which did land. So now it's over to Team 1 to do their plot phase. So again, remembering that Landslide gets to move 2 as long as he's within 3 for every action Shale does. Shale moved into position so that in the clash phase he can crush that banner, hopefully, which was 1 action, which moved Landslide roughly here-ish. Then he buffed Landslide with an attack, which just counters the Blight to get rid of the Blight, again triggering Landslide to move where you can see him. He is prepared to attack, but he can't do anything else, because if he did Eruption it would give defense down to Shale as well. So he's just waiting for his chance to punch Morrigan really hard, so that's all they're doing. So over here for Larsan and the Mistwood Rangers. Mistwood Rangers, they applied a defense down blight to Half Tusk and then retreated because they have range 3, so they could do that. Larsan did field instruction to buff them with an attack boon, and then also hit the Froglodites with, what is it called? Fairy Fire, which also gives them no damage, but it gives them a defense down blight as well. So now it's over to Grimgut and the Wretchlings to end the plot phase for battle round 2. So for Grimgut it was pretty simple. He moved for 1 and then planted his own banner. He's going to have to crush the Nia's banner in the clash phase. Then for the Wretchlings, they buffed their movement and then did a movement action, so they all had 1. And they're forming a nice half circle around Nia here to stop the Quartzlings getting in, because if she ults she can turn a Quartzling into an objective hex and automatically plant her banners, so just keeping them away there. So it's into the clash phase for battle round 2 with Team 2, that end of the table, going first. Oh, slight correction, Grimgut had a movement blight, so his movement was 0, so he actually just planted there. Same effects, just he's on that hex rather than that hex. So Morrigan was first up, and she did an Ice Blade on Landslide. It did 1 damage, which was enough to kill him. When he dies, he becomes an objective hex, so there it is. And he is worth 2 steps on the ladder because he is a large follower. For his other action, for her other action, I should say, she did Ice Bolt on Shale. It did actually manage to get through, despite only being 3 dice for damage, to do 1 damage, and inaccuracy debuff. So Larsan was up next, and she had a very clever turn. She popped her ult to start with, which is called Kill Shot. 3 hex range, 6 accuracy. If it hits, it just does a flat 2 damage. She did it on Half Tusk. If Half Tusk is wounded, his ability to fight is a lot worse. So that did 2 damage to Half Tusk, and she has a passive called Shoot and Scoot, I think. As long as she does at least 1 wound with any attack she does, she gets to move 1 hex, and that's important because it's a free movement. So she shifted to here, and then for her second action she just did her normal move, which is 3, 1, 2, 3, and crushed the banner. So the tusk is gone, and Half Tusk's ability to hit her, now that she's right smack dab in his face, is somewhat reduced. That was a very good turn for her. Nia activated next. She did a move to crush Grimgut's banner, where you can see. Then she tried to blinding light him again. It hit, so he's got the accuracy blight again, but she could not damage him. So Grimgut had no choice really. He did a roll to get there, then a movement to get there to crush Nia's banner for his 2 actions. Nothing else he could do. It's looking pretty secure for Team 2 to get this one, so he didn't want to start nomming followers on a turn where it's probably not going to matter. The Cold Bones activated. They moved to surround Shale's back to not give him anywhere to go, and then did a snowball fight with him, getting the full benefit because they were all adjacent to him. Did 2 damage. Combined with the 1 he has on him, he has 2 health remaining. So fearing for his life somewhat, Shale activated. He moved and crushed Morgan's banner, and then attacked her with stone spikes and did a movement debuff on her. The Quartzlings stayed where they are and just did 1 action. Throwing stones, a 5-5 attack because they're all on the same tile. At Grimgut did really well and did 4 damage to him. Grimgut is tanky though, even combined with, he has 3 damage on him, so that's what, 4, 5, 6, 7? And he's got 2 HP left. The Mistwood Rangers activated next. They took aim for an accuracy boon, then immediately used it up to shoot at Half Tusk, and they get bonus attack dice if they're shooting a wounded hero. But it didn't matter because they rolled appallingly and only did 1 additional damage to him, so he's taken 3 damage out of his 7, and it's probably going to be over to him next. Half Tusk stayed where he was and did regeneration to heal 2 of those 3 wounds away. Then he did a 1 punch on Lorsan. She is very evasive, she's got a dodge of 4, he could not hit her. So Landslide got a turn because he is back. His first action has to be a recruit action to bring himself back, and then he did a boulder bash for his other one. 6-6 into Morgan, back of the skull, and did 2 damage. Not great, but not terrible either. So we're actually at the end of Battle Round 2. The final 2 activations have occurred. First one with the Froglodytes literally did nothing. They're just trolling and staying on the objective hexes. Done. Then the Wretchlings, they did a move action to how you can see them. Then the 2 on the same hex attacked the Quartzlings with slime and did manage to kill one. So that's important because unless they bring another one back, Nia doesn't get her 3 activations. But at the end of Battle Round 2, it is very comfortably in Team 2's half. They score the second turn's 2 victory points, and that means that Team 1 will get to pick what 2 objective hexes get obliterated and whether or not they want to go first. So here's how things are looking at the top of turn 3's plot phase. The 2 objective hexes that were being trolled by the Froglodytes have been obliterated. They are gone, and Team 1, Lorsan, Shale, Landslide, Grimgut, etc., they are going first, so they have the priority on the ladder, and we're into their plot phase. So we're starting over this side with the plot phase for Shale and Landslide. Shale moved and placed banner for 2 because he is a shaper, and then Landslide stayed still and did Earthquake, which is everyone in 1 around him, friend or foe, but the only person was Morgan, gets the defense blight. So that is their plot phase done. So for Grimgut and the Wretchlings, Grimgut moved and then planted banner for 1 because he's not a shaper. Then the Wretchlings stayed where they are and did slip and slide to buff their movement, and then also Grimgut's in case it matters in the next phase. And for Lorsan and her Rangers, she pulled back and did a claim for 1, and then the Archers stayed where they were and did defense down shots with Fairy Fire on Half Tusk. So now it's over to Team 2's plot phase. So Half Tusk sadly had no choice because you can't do a claim on a claim, but to move and crush Lorsan's banner and then do not much else. Oh, sorry, he did regen to get rid of the 1 damage on him. He could heal up to 2, but he only had 1 damage left. The Froglodytes, 1 moved 1, and then they did a hop, so they're all together on this square behind Lorsan, where you can see them. The Quartzlings activated next and did a recruit action, so there'd be 3 of them on the field again, with 1 spawning next to Nia, who was standing there. Then it became Nia's turn. She popped her ult, and also because all 3 were alive when she activated, she did get her 3 actions. Popped her ult, which is Geode. She turns one of the Quartzlings into an objective hex as long as it's adjacent, which the newly spawned one was. If it's within 2 of her, there is an automatic plant. She then moved and crushed Grimgut's banner, or pot, but it's a banner, and then buffed her accuracy for the next phase as well. The Quarterstones didn't do anything with their other action, incidentally, they just stayed standing there. So as we go over to the last two for the plot phase, just to be clear, in placing that was 2 steps on the ladder because Nia is a shaper. So over here, the Cold Ones did So Cool Mistress to buff Morrigan's movement to counteract the negative blight she had. Then also did a snowball fight, what is it called? Chill Out on Shale to give him minus attack, which I just realised is probably pointless because he doesn't do any physical damage, it's landslide it does. Oh well, the debuff is still there. Morrigan planted banner for 1 step, crushed Shales to deny it points, and with that we are into the clash phase. So Landslide was first up and his goal was to kill Morgan, and he fell short. He did his big punch, he did 3 damage, she had 2 on her, bringing her to 5. She has 6 HP. There's nothing else he wants to do, so that's it. He failed, and I don't think Shale can actually do physical damage, so Morgan is going to live. Nia was first up for Team 2, and I think her turn might have secured it, based on Morgan not dying to Landslide right there. So she did Blinding Light on Grimgut, did 2 damage, which was exactly enough to kill him for 4 steps on the ladder, shoved him back 2, and then as her other action moved to protect her banner, and that's another 4 steps on the ladder. If it survives till the end of the turn, Grimgut's only going to have 1 action because he has to rally, and I don't think it's possible. We'll see, but I don't think it's possible to stop that banner surviving. The Mistwood Rangers activated next, and with Half Tusk being back to full HP, they decided the best course of action was to move, shoot at the Froglodytes with their fire attack, and killed one of them for 1 step, because at least that's 1 step towards making up the difference that's going to happen. So Half Tusk was up next, and he did 1 punch on Lorsan. It hit her for 2, and if it hits, he gets to do 2 punch for free, which is less chance to hit but more damage. He did it, and that scored 3. Now, it's a bit of a repeat of what's happening on the other end of the table, but that's 5 damage to Lorsan, and she has 6 HP, so she is living. That could have made the difference, but actually no, it would have secured it, in other words, if Lorsan had went down. But she's alive, and kind of kicking. She still has a turn. So Lorsan was the next up, and ignoring the giant troll behind her, she instead decided to do Fairy Fire and Snipe on the Froglodytes. Only managed to kill one of them, but that is 1 step on the ladder for them. Shale activated, and all he could do was crush Morrigan's banner just to deny some points. He can't aggressively do any damage, so there's no stopping them. At this point, there is no stopping them. So Morrigan's activation, even though it was already in the bag, has brought about the end of the game abruptly. She moved and then did Ice Blade on Shale. It hit, so it did 1 automatic wound because he had the accuracy debuff. It did 1 extra damage, all said and done once the damage roll was done. That plus the 3 on him was enough to kill Shale. He actually should be knocked back 2. That's 5 steps on the ladder because Morrigan is a Slayer. She actually managed to kill a champion. Grimgut would come back, can't crush that banner. At the end of the turn, that banner would move at 4, which is exactly enough to get it at the very top of the ladder, which does mean that Team Morgan, Nia and Half Tusk score turn 3, which brings 3 victory points in, combined with them winning round 2, means that they have won the game with 5 victory points. So that was yet another fun game of Godtear. I hope it was entertaining to you, and yes, I'm sure there was little mistakes here or there, that it happens, but it was still fun regardless. I'm not sure when the next one will be because more heroes need to get painted up. The boxes are there, the boxes of shame haunting, just if you listen very closely you can hear them whisper, paint us, paint us. Can you not hear it? Maybe just me. So anyway, if you do want to see more Godtear, please do remember to show your support. It helps plan out the channel and know what's popular, what you want more of, and it will be provided for you. Thank you for watching this one though, I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the future. Ta-ta for now.